Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Thanks to Tribooth, the best vocal booth for home or on-the-road voice recording. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George The Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, learner!
Here we go.
And don't forget the code TRIPAP. That will get you $200 off your Tribooth. Now, George, you've been whizzing around the country like crazy. You went to Podfest. What were you actually doing at Podfest?
I was suitcasing. That's what we call it in the business.
Stealing people's suitcase?
Suitcasing.
Suitcasing is when you show up in an event that you didn't sponsor and you start schmoozing and handing out cards and selling your wares.
Yeah, you don't have a booth, basically.
And you don't have a booth. Yes. Thanks to Jody Krangle. Thanks, Jody. Jody was a sponsor this year. She actually got an award. She got a community award from the Podfest event, which was really cool. They also had an award show there for every community needs an award, so they have their own awards event there. They call them Lifetime Achievement Award type awards. And Dr. Drew was there giving out the awards. He's a TV personality. He's been on numerous shows over the years.
He's kind of shilling stuff a little bit, isn't he? You see him on diet fad stuff, and
so here's the deal. The podcasting community is an interesting one, right? So it's a mixture of a lot of solopreneurs, right? Which is why I'm there. I'm a solopreneur. Then you've got a lot of people that have something to say that would not fly on traditional media, right?
Yeah.
So extremists on whatever thing it is, because you can, it's your podcast. You can say whatever the heck you want. So you have a lot of people, I saw a lot of people that were wearing don't tread on me shirts and,
Yeah, like survival, like buy all this food and stockpile it, and here's how to live in a hole for 80 days during the apocalypse.
So there was a representative, some people on that community were represented. Then you had a lot of people that are women, every interest group you can imagine. There's somebody at the Podfest because they want to, either they have a podcast they want to start, they want to learn about it, or they have one and they want to promote it, or they just want to get better at what they do and more efficient. So that's why they come. And I was spending my time bouncing between the expo hall and some of the different talks that were there. And there were many, many, many panels. And so what's cool about this conference, which I think sets it apart from every other conference that I've ever been to, is they use an app called Whova, spelled like Whova, Whova. And the Whova app is a community app that lets you know exactly who's at the event. You know exactly who they are. You have their contact info. You can exchange info. It's kind of like the NAM Show app on the phone. Did you use the NAM Show app?
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds just like the NAM Show app, which was kind of annoying.
Yeah, just not as crappy. Although the NAM Show app got better, but it was terrible for a long time. But so now you have a way to contact every single person at the event. And so I'm looking at the app right now, and it says the total number of attendees was 1,869.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad. That's good.
Yeah, so definitely bigger than VO Atlanta. They would like to be that big, I'm sure. In fact, J. Michael Collins from VO Atlanta was there, actually, at Podfest with a booth.
But what kind of price? VO Atlanta is really expensive to attend. So when you're talking about 700 people being at that show, you're still talking about a lot of coin. Whereas, was this one like $100 a ticket, or was this $700 a ticket?
They do the thing which a lot of conferences do, which is having a lot of different tiers. Mm-hmm. So you can start at like 200 and you can go up to $1,000. So the $1,000 ticket is a VIP, and that's actually the ticket that I had because Jody, as a sponsor, actually got a companion ticket and she offered it to me, which was extremely kind. So I went as a VIP, which was cool because I could go to every single happy hour and, all those special things where they give out, they have hors d'oeuvres and you can schmooze and stuff. And that was really valuable because while I was in line for one of these, waiting in line for a drink, I met a I met a podcaster who runs a show about the chemical industry. And here, I'm thinking, okay, that could be the end of the conversation.
Yes.
But I didn't let the conversation end. And instead, I kind of dug in and said, and I came at it from an absolutely entrepreneurial mindset of like, okay, everybody has a need. Every industry has a need. Is there a need in that space that I can fill, right? So by the time we got to the front of the line to get our drinks, I had already figured out a niche that I wanted to fill. She said, I'd like to have you on my show. I'd like to share this with my community. Let's work on maybe a package for the people that listen to my show. It was like all this came out of just standing in line.
Wait. Let me make sure I understand this. She's got a show about chemical engineering.
Chemical industry. Like she does a show where the audience are people working in the chemical industry.
And you are co-marketing with her now.
If she replies to my email, yes.
Okay.
So this is the thing I also realize. You go to these shows, these people come, it is an absolute like schmoozegasm.
Yeah.
Right? You're meeting hundreds of people, making tons of connections, talking about amazing ideas. And then after that event, it is up to you. You have to you really have to follow up. I mean, so one guy, he has a Calendly link on his website. So he's like, hey, let's chat. So I immediately made an appointment with him, and I'll be talking with him as soon as he gets over COVID.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because that's the other thing that these conferences are for. I mean, that's certainly what I got from frickin' NAMM.
Yeah. I got my COVID by hanging out in Venice Beach. It was a little more fun. But I got over a couple of weeks ago. But so as soon as he's off his thing, I'm going to be talking about his studio that we are going to build in Dallas. So that turned into another gig, hopefully. He seemed very keen. So for me, on a B2B level, business to business, I had made some really great contacts. And then on a B2C level, business to consumer, I handed out my card to a lot of people. And it was really nice because the vendors that I did know there, which was BSW and Centrance and Yellow Tech, all know me. We have great relationships. And they were all willing to keep my cards at their table. And I would just circulate the room. And every time I stood near the table, someone would walk up and say, "What is all this stuff?" And they would often mention me and say, "George is the guy that can help you." So it was extremely valuable for me to be there, to network and connect with folks. And whether it turns into a true ROI, who knows? You just never know until the deposit comes. But I did make some really good, valuable connections there. I also hopefully endeared them to the point where they will involve me in the production of the show next year, so that they will not have super loud PA systems blaring in a very large echoey room to the point where you can't hear the person presenting, or you can't talk to your vendor that you're trying to talk to because the sound system's blasting.
It's funny because podcasting is all about audio, but at the same time, it kind of has this it's just such a broad demographic because everyone is really like, I just want to have the podcast done. I'm not really about the process of podcasting. I just want it to be good.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of networks and producers at these events that want you to sign on with them, that will get you ad dollars and do all the marketing for you. And there was quite a few of those companies there too, but for me, it was just learning about the community, who's doing it, who's producing it, how do they do it, what are the issues that they're having in producing it. And what was cool with the Hoova app is I was able to immediately, when there was an issue with the sound and it was too loud, I was able to immediately post something in there and get the attention of one of the organizers who within probably 20, 30 minutes was asking me, "Where are you? Let's talk." That's pretty awesome. I really love that. Yeah. When I was at Podcast Movement, that was not happening. That was not going to get through to somebody.
How big is Podcast Movement compared to this one?
Physically, it's a bigger space. It was a larger space, more vendors. But I think in the actual turnout, it probably wasn't all that bigger. But Podcast Movement attracts more corporate entities. So you had iHeart Podcasts from iHeartMedia and iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
You had Amazon. You had all these very big brands there, there to represent their podcast interests and hopefully find their new big hit show, So that was a very different thing. They were not doing that at Podfest.
So were these big companies that you're talking about, but they were looking for podcasts to put on their platforms. Is that correct?
At Podcast Movement, yeah. They're there to schmooze with their big sellers, their big shows. They had what you would expect. They had beautiful sets with couches and, they spent some big time money
big dollars,
to be there.
yeah.
And Podfest wasn't like that at all. Podfest felt a lot more like a voiceover convention with a smaller expo hall. And as Jody told me before, it's much more grassroots and more friendly.
Do they both have like an educational thing?
Tons and tons of education. Like the one gentleman I'm going to work with named Larry Roberts, he had a 30-minute thing on how to write your next book using ChatGPT. And it was an absolute paint by numbers. This is exactly how I did mine. Just do it like this, and you can have a 200-page bound book in about a week. Right? I mean, literally.
Wow.
So I'm like, dude, I want that PDF. And he said, here, scan this QR code, download the PDF, right? So I'm going to use that because I have been gathering my own knowledge with my own custom language model to create my own chatbot. So now I actually have all the content that I would need to make a book. And that's the thing that's kept me from wanting to do a book, because the research and the time to compose a book is eternity in the pre-ChatGPT AI era. But now I can very, very quickly outline a book and write the chapters with the help of a language, a ChatGPT. And the beauty of it is it's my own knowledge. I'm not scraping from anybody else. So that was a really cool revelation. So there was a lot to learn there.
I wonder if we could, sort of ingest our podcasts that we've been doing for the last 5 years.
Of course.
And then write a book from that.
Absolutely.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it is frighteningly simple to do it. I mean, it is crazy easy. I could do it in 2 days. It just really is bizarrely simple. But you want it to be good, so there's going to be more time involved. You want to read the entire book, right? You want to make sure everything that's being written isn't garbage, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to make sure it's factual. Yeah. So there's time involved. But still, yeah, it wouldn't be that hard because we have, 6 or 7 years worth of content on YouTube?
Yeah.
All that content is easily scrapable. You create a sitemap from all that content, and you load the sitemap into a chatbot utility, and you're done. I mean, that's how easy it is to build a chatbot from any content.
But where are you getting your initial chatbot from? Like, where's the infant AI Robert that I can go put on a server and start freaking feeding it like Fargois?
Oh, what's the service I'm using?
Yeah,
for that. Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we would like to know because we'd like to write a book. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't for a book, but for my own.
I think if I was going to do a book, it'd be a colouring in book.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Dot to dot.
For my custom ChatGPT, I'm using a thing called Custom GPT. That's actually what I'm using as a service to build my chatbot. And it's extremely user-friendly, and they have all the right tools. You have to be a little bit savvy, but it's you don't have to be knowledgeable about code. You don't have to be knowledgeable about a lot of things because they have a lot of good content on there on how to do it. You have to learn how to write a persona. Your persona is literally, how is your chatbot going to talk to people? Is it going to be mean and abusive? You can make it do that if you want. You can have you can have it be abusive and angry. You can have it be overly effusive. You can have it be friendly. You can have it be way too verbose. You can tell it exactly how you want it to behave. So I've been working on my persona to make sure my chatbot is friendly, but still gives very direct information. And at the end, always plugs my business. That's how it works,
You should give it a brief like most of the voiceover briefs that we get. Nonsensical sort of garbage that is impossible to understand.
You can do that.
Voice tone should be a little more purple than blue.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be interesting just to make this thing follow you around. Like if you just videotaped every day and this thing ingested one day behind what you were. So
yeah.
And then it just whatever, this conversation here, all of it. It's just like,
oh yeah, no. There. By the way, there is a little device that you can slap onto your iPhone, and it just lives on the back of the phone like a little barnacle, and it does that. It records every single phone conversation and then does a ChatGPT, transcription of it.
For what purpose, George?
It's the ultimate note-taking device. I mean, literally every phone call you make is recorded and converted into notes and summarized. It'll record, it has a mic, so it'll record what's in the room, but it'll also record what's coming out of the phone. Like, we're all going to have a AI persona copy of ourselves. And when we die, that's going to live on in some form or another.
That's Google
and that's
Assistant.
Going to be normal.
That's what that is. That's already exists. You see the crap that it gets thrown at me that, Tanae and I have talked about in the kitchen. It's listening. It's like just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
well, I'll tell you the story. This is a really wacko story. This goes back to the 80s. Mick Fleetwood was in Australia, and he came in to do an interview, and he was sitting there with a little cassette recorder, recording everything. And after we'd done the interview, I said, were you just getting a copy of the interview? He said, no, I record everything. He record every conversation he has, everything.
So he was an archivist or a librarian type person.
Yeah, no, but when he gets home, he said, when I get home, I like to sit in the house and listen back to all the cassettes.
Oh, God.
Weird.
He's got time for that.
And I'm like,
Fleetwood, I suppose, but
I think there are a few things they did in the 70s that's obviously come back to haunt him, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Either that or he was just very proud of himself and just really wanted to hear what he had to say.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah, well,
really weird.
I mean, it's in the same way I'll watch our show occasionally or listen to the show. It's just a different experience to hear back what you were saying on the show. And I might pick up something you said that I didn't notice. You might edit and listen, and it's a different format than the way we did it. But at this point, I'm looking at it, and I know we've gone off topic from Podfest to AI again because this is the way the show goes.
That's the way we roll.
But it's like I want to make sure I have my IP in my chatbot before somebody else does. I can't stop somebody from taking all my YouTube videos and putting it in their chatbot. But at least I can have mine and have it in my own brand.
I think you should be able to stop somebody from taking all your YouTube videos and putting it in their chatbot. Absolutely.
Well, I could go into YouTube tomorrow and just say, these are all unlisted and they're gone.
No, I know that. But even though you have your stuff up there on a platform where it's basically monetized, and that's one thing that you should be allowed to do, having someone ingest it, it's like still your ownership. They can ingest it, but they can't turn around a commercial chatbot.
Well, they can.
Well, yeah, this is why New York Times is suing ChatGPT.
Right.
That's literally how the year started out. That news story came out, and I was like, I can't afford to sue anybody. That's never going to happen. But the least I could do is at least have my chatbot and at least put it out there before somebody else does and market it. I mean, I figure that's the best that I can do. I can't stop anybody from stealing my content. There's unscrupulous people in the voiceover world who would do that, for sure. People that are just trying to make a buck and have content on their website. And people do it all the time anyway, just not to the scale of a chatbot, but that's going to be the thing of 2024 is making chatbots.
So what there's going to be at some point, there's going to be lawyers or just like for instance, we had a commercial, and the producer was telling us that Ford sued the company. And I was like, why? And it turns out it wasn't really Ford. So essentially what they got sued for is the commercial had a cop in it, and the cop was sitting in a Crown Victoria, because that's like your cliche cop car, right? So next thing you know, Ford gets a letter from some lawyer that just says, I can get you $200,000, sign here.
Yeah.
Ford not CEO, some lower, who knows who, signs it. Next thing you know, the lawyer now has Ford behind him, and he goes and sues the director or the production company of the car for not getting a license to use their likeness of a car because it's so associated with police, and they extract $200,000 out of them.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Nice.
same thing,
Nice
like
people.
some lawyer, some company's going to be there, and they're just going to go through and be like, oh crap, I can tell where this chatbot's been trained. Going to reach out to all the people that trained it.
We're also going to be replacing the lawyers with AI.
with a chatbot.
Yeah.
It'll be a chatbot. That's exactly right. There's going to be a chatbot that's going to go see where other chatbots were trained. And then when it catches them, it's going to go send a letter of cease and desist, and you're going to be like, untrain your chatbot, which I don't even know if you can do that.
Oh yeah, yes you can. I can go into mine at any time and just say, take that out of the database, and it's gone. I can put an entire YouTube channel in my thing and go, I don't like. I've done it. I put a whole YouTube channel in my chatbot. I didn't like some of the answers it was giving, and I just took it back out again.
Okay. So basically you'll get a cease and desist letter like that, like remove this content from your chatbot. Yep. And
that's probably what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you listen to this show, and we will drivel on into AI land with no matter what the topic is.
That's all, because that's where we're all going.
Yes, it is true.
The next stop is the outro.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio, recorded using Source Connect, edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging, with tech support from George The Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.